Welcome back to the program. It is Sunday, December 15th. Merry Christmas. I was away for a while, but I'm back. On the weekends, Saturdays and Sundays, I love to go into New York City. I lived in New York City about 15 years. I was a Midtown West Side guy, although I started 66 in New York on a sixth-floor walk-up. Your memory gets really good when you live on a sixth-floor walk-up. Sadly, if you know that area, it's right across from a hospital, so always disturbed by lots of ambulances. But that was an interesting place. It was a penthouse. Yeah, I actually lived in the penthouse on the top floor, 66 in New York, on the southeast corner. It was fun. I worked downtown at Fulton Street with Barclays Bank. Had to walk from 66th in New York to 68th in Lex to get the 6 train downtown. So that was like a 45, 50-minute commute on the island. A little frustrated. I remember on the ways home, on the way home, I got on and off on Fulton Street near Wall Street. And at Fulton Street, you can get the express train or the local train, the 4-5 or the 6. The 6 is the local. I remember in those days, the old red cars with the yellow interiors. And on the way home, you get on the express train, right, to make it home a little quicker. Although 68th Street was not an express stop, so you had to switch trains short of that. But what used to really piss me off was when you get on the express train, and you're stalled in the tunnel, and you see the local train blow by you. I remember that vividly. Anyway, I enjoy this. I enjoy the city. Always have. One thing about the city that I've always said is there are so many great things about living in Manhattan, being in Manhattan. No denying the energy. Just the energy you feel on the streets of Manhattan is incomparable. The only problem is there's almost as many negative things about living in New York City. And so now when I travel in from the suburbs on weekend mornings, nice easy ride, go in for breakfast or lunch, come home early afternoon. Again, relatively easy ride, assuming no accidents or construction. Go to Central Park. I love to go downtown on Bleecker Street to Facio's, wonderful Italian deli. You have friends on the east side, friends on the west side. And it's really enjoyable. And I've been doing this for years now. And as much as there is negative news and bad news about crime and hysteria and tough times in Manhattan, not to mention the cost of living in Manhattan, when I go in there in my little excursions now, we're obviously touching just small parts of the city, it's booming. It's bustling. Central Park, busy as ever. Of course, they still have those horrible, horrible pedicabs in there, which have to go away. Pedicabs have to be eliminated in New York City, as do the horse-drawn carriages. Stop this silliness. But it's vibrant. Head down to Rock Center, busy. City has lots of challenges. But I want to say a couple things about the city that have my attention right now. First, congestion pricing. Hochul is bringing that back, congestion pricing. What a horrible, horrible idea. This comes from the climate alarmists, the globalists. The cars have to go world. They put it under the guise of having to raise money for the MTA so that they can properly run a subway and bus system. There's other ways to raise revenue, like making sure everyone pays their fare to use the subway or the bus. Fare dodging is an epidemic in Manhattan right now. And by the way, the subway system has been underfunded for decades and decades. If you've traveled around the world, I've had the opportunity to do so. We have the dingiest subway system going. No question in Manhattan. But congestion pricing, horrible, horrible, horrible policy, and so regressive, especially coming from the Democrats. What hypocrisy this is. Can't have regressive taxes, but you can have a regressive toll. This is going to be highly inflationary. It's going to hurt lots of people. A lot of people are going to benefit it. Taxi companies are going to benefit. Parking garages are going to benefit. The Treasury for New York City, New York State is going to benefit, but that'll be horribly misspent. You can guarantee the money raised through this congestion pricing is going to be misallocated, misspent, abused. Not to mention the fees that are going to be transferred to the third-party operator of the system. They're going to generate huge revenues on the back of New York City residents, users of the city, delivery people. Just on the regressive part alone, it must be stopped. I hope New Jersey and President Trump and others try to keep this in the courts to stop this from happening. All the equipment is in place. You just got to turn it on. Everything south of 60th Street, all the way down to the tip of the island from the FDR to the West Side Highway. Horrible decision by Hochul to bring this back. If we had better fiscal management of the tax revenues we have now in Manhattan, in New York State, we wouldn't need this. If we didn't have progressive climate alarmists making public policy, we wouldn't need this. But New Yorkers are going to get hammered. And it's a giveaway to the rich. It's a big middle finger to the middle class and the poor, and it's a giveaway to the rich. The rich don't care. If you don't drive a car in Manhattan, you don't care. So the idea we hear about this is the slow speed of traffic in the city, congestion in the city. Yeah, it's been that way for a long, long time, as it is in every city. We see congestion pricing in other cities. It hasn't done anything to solve the problem, which is what the politicians say is congestion pricing, pollution, use of cars. People love their cars. Americans love their cars. We want to be mobile, we want to go, and we want to go. So really bad news that Hochul is bringing back this congestion pricing. I hope the fight keeps going on to block this. But as of right now, it's a go for 2025. Hochul has generated some excess tax revenues to the state treasury to the tune of some billions of dollars on the back of what she claims is inflation. So as prices rise, obviously the tax on those goods rises since they're a percent of the price. And Hochul is now, in a way to mollify New Yorkers to help a re-election bid, talking about rebating some of those tax dollars to New York State and Manhattan residents to the tune of maybe $300 to $500. Really sad political ploy. Use that money to pay down debt. Use that money to upgrade the MTA. Use that money to keep the congestion pricing from happening. But there is one thing I really am happy about in New York City, and that is the end of the eating sheds. It's not a complete end, but very new restrictive rules have been come into place. New fees have come into place. And once and for all, I think we're going to get rid of these horrible, horrible, horrible outdoor dining sheds that have littered Manhattan streets since March, April, May of 2020. Cities changed their eating policies outdoors around the country on the back of COVID lockdowns. And I don't like it. Never have. Cities are turning parking lots, parking spaces into eating spaces, putting sheds on streets in Manhattan, rat infested, used by the homeless, used for sex, used for other nefarious activities, ugly, in the way, dangerous. And so I think the city council finally did something right here by essentially eliminating these outdoor dining sheds on the streets of Manhattan. There's still, some of them are still there. Go to the West Village. You can still see these decrepit, ugly, horrible things on the sidewalks, taking up parking spaces. The war against the internal combustion engine, the car generally, is ongoing around the world, and the idea we're in some climate crisis. That's not going to turn out to be true. Stop it with these silly plans in these cities to eliminate cars. All right, that's all I have for you right now. Always try to buy American.